Hello, everyone. So, I will admit that I can be a very forgetful person, and sometimes I have a very difficult time remembering things. But I feel like we all can relate to that in some respects, even important things and events and information. It's hard sometimes. So, in my research of the Zeigarnik Effect, I realized all the reasons why and how we have a hard time remembering things and simpler ways to help us remember. So, the Zeigarnik Effect is the idea that taking breaks and having some sort of interruption when trying to learn and memorize something is actually very helpful instead of hurtful, and it gives your brain like a time to relax, take it all in, and settle. And it encourages the fact of splitting things into chunks to make it easier to remember. So, I'm going to be talking about how memory works, rehearsal, and taking breaks, and how that aids in the Zeigarnik effect, as well as how we can use it to our advantage. So, first, I'm going to talk about what is memory. So, Saul McLeod, who has a PhD in psychology, defines memory as the ability to store information and later recall it. Many people think of memory as a filing cabinet in your head, basically, but it is a little more complicated than that. There are three types of memories: short term, working memory, and long term memory. So, short term memory is it stores a small amount of information for a short amount of time, while working memory temporarily stores the information for a short period of time to complete a task. And long term memory is it stores information, events indefinitely, so you can always remember it. The Zeigarnik effect mostly is related to working memory because it has to do with getting a task done. And when when information is on its way to your memory, it goes through this process called encoding, which basically means it, your brain comes up with a simpler way to remember something. So you get information, your brain encodes it, it goes into your memory where it is stored and can later be recalled. Next, we'll talk about rehearsing and taking breaks. So, rehearsal is when you practice something over and over and over again so that you know it and you memorize it. For example, actors rehearse their lines, so they memorize it so they can say it without reading it off a piece of paper. And with rehearsal, going along with rehearsal, the Alabama Education Association says it is so important to take at least a 5 minute break when studying for 55 minutes and 10-minute breaks for 80-minute study sessions. This goes along with the Zeigarnik effect because it stresses how important it is to take a break or have some sort of interruption to be able to learn something and memorize it and use it again in the future. Lastly, we're going to talk about how people use this to their advantage. So, many psychologists say that to memorize something or learn something, you should look at it, remove yourself from it for a couple of minutes, let it settle in, and then come back to it to take more chunks of information in. And this agrees with the Zeigarnik effect because that information or that interruption is key to remembering what you need to remember, your information, your event, whatever it is. And a way people use this in real life is when movie producers, TV producers, even music producers, they release teasers of their products, and especially when it has a cliffhanger and it cuts off you watching it and it cuts off your enjoyment of it, it makes you remember it more and it makes you want to go see that movie, television show, listen to that song. So, we talked about how memory works, what exactly it is, rehearsal and taking breaks and how it goes along with the Zeigarnik effect, as well as how people use it to their advantage. We proved that the Zeigarnik effect helps with remembering things by encouraging splitting things up into chunks of information at a time to remember. So hopefully you learned all about the Zeigarnik effect in this video, and I hope you now can point it out in real life and notice it and know that's what it is. So thank you for listening.